Here's how I tracked inbound leads basically almost every single day without needing to run paid ads, without cold DMing a soul in over 3 years, and without even needing to post content every day or to hope and pray that a post goes viral so I can, God forbid, have to find an ideal client amongst thousands of unqualified leads. What I'm going to walk you through today is what's worked for me in terms of like the step-by-step framework that I've used to be able to get more inbound leads coming warm, pre-sold, and asking me more about my services in hopes that it helps you be able to do the same. Now, before we dive in case you're wondering, Jason, why do you have your hand taped up? Well, I was on American Ninja Warrior, the TV show we were filming just a couple months ago out in Vegas, and little did I know, I had a broken finger while I was competing. And what I did know is I had a bunch of tears. And so, like, I gave the last couple months an opportunity for my body to rest, go figure, and heal. And it was my first night back at Ninja training just 2 days ago. And I freaking ripped, man. Like both of these calluses clean off. So rather than me sit here and show you my nasty, gruesome hand, I figured I probably should cover it up for you. So that's what that is. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive on in. You see, most coaches think that inbound leads comes from like things like posting more content or trying to get a viral reel or running ads or DMing 100 people a day is definitely not inbound. But most of this stuff is outbound disguised as hustle. Let's take, for example, you're posting content. It's like you can't really control getting inbound from that unless you have a system, which we're going to walk through in a second, behind it, or even with ads. The way most people are doing ads right now, especially ads that are working, is they're doing like follow me kind of ads or DM me ads. And a lot of times you're getting so many leads if you do have something that works, but you're freaking having to find, it's like picking a needle out of a haystack. You're having to like go through all these unqualified leads just to find the qualified. And most people are leaving tons of money on the table and they're having to like really hustle to get actual ideal clients out of the mix. In fact, I have a couple clients now that I'm doing some one-to-one consulting for that they have their ads are crushing for them. And I'm looking inside of their go high levels and some of their pipelines. And it's like they're literally like wasting tons of money. And they're, in one of my clients' accounts, we found in their existing pipeline, we found over $101,000 in sales that we're able to extract from it using some of these same strategies that I'm about to show you. And so what inbound actually means is that people come to you warm, pre-sold, and already convinced you're the person they want to work with. That, at least to me, is what inbound is. And that's how my entire business runs off of. And especially not like these like crazy Frankenstein funnels, you know what I mean? Like if you've been in the industry for any length of time, you probably have seen these like Zapier connects to this software, to this software, to this software. And it's like, oh my God, it's like it's a nightmare. And so inbound isn't luck. It's not posting and praying that you get leads to reach out. It's a system built to convert. And that's what we're going to be going through today. The exact setup of how to keep demand stacked without needing to chase freaking anybody. And so inbound isn't hope plus content, or ads or whatever. It's a system plus psychology. And this is what's going to allow you to not need to chase or convince or push or beg for attention. Instead, we want to get people to see you as the obvious choice. You want people to initiate with you. It changes the entire dynamic in the relationship. And you want to become pre-qualified before you talk. And so I'm going to show you how to do that through the right types of messaging, really tapping into the subconscious triggers that are already going on in your ideal client's head, and it's going to get them to lean in. And so why inbound matters for your business and, quite frankly, your lifestyle. If you've ever posted for weeks on end and nothing's happened, or you've kind of followed the old school guru advice of like, the 2019 advice of like, go just DM 50 to 100 people a day, only to get ghosted, and you already know why this matters. You see, outbound totally freaking works. Like I've got some friends that absolutely crush outbound, but at least for me, it drains my energy. It drains my confidence knowing that like, dang, man, I got to hit like 300 people up just to be able to get a client. And it definitely drains my creativity. So I'd rather put my creativity into great content that does the pre-selling for me, right? That builds trust with people, that gives value to people. In fact, Both Google and Meta have both echoed something incredibly similar. And Google's is 7-11-4, where it's like they say that a consumer needs to consume 7 hours of content, 11 different touch points on 4 different mediums. And so I'm going to show you strategically how we can design that into a system, but I'd rather have that creativity into the content that's going to be able to pre-sell, so that way I don't have to do it, right? Inbound's going to flip the entire power dynamic for you, so you stop chasing and you get to start choosing, right? When you build an inbound system, your calendar will fill with people who see your value before you ever speak. And you're going to get more consistent revenue because demand stays stacked. You're literally just playing on the timeless principle of supply and demand. And so let's go ahead and go into first the formula that's going to, and then we'll unpack the system step by step. So the formula, the burden to your brain, my friend, is to remember this: weak marketing equals hard sales. Strong marketing equals easy sales. Like, the importance of this goes beyond words. Like, you might hear be like, cool quote, bro. Right? But like think about this. Like, the most people, most coaches, most businesses are out here and they're putting out weak marketing, which makes them have to do these sleazy kind of like used carsman salesmanship type tactics behind the scenes. They're having to do fake urgency or scarcity or really hard sell people or chase people into DMs because their marketing isn't actually doing the work that it's supposed to do. And if you want to have that type of business, by all means, like, more power to you. Like, I know a lot of people that crush with it, but it requires you to have a lot of salespeople and to really need to like push people into stuff. Versus when you have strong marketing, you're able to allow your marketing to do the heavy lifting, and that makes sales much easier. It becomes more of a logistical thing when you're chatting with people versus like you needing to convince people to work with you. And I like to look at this as this graphic displays. Like, weak marketing is like you're constantly pushing, it's like an uphill battle. Versus when you have great marketing, you have a great inbound system, it literally becomes an attraction process. And so here's the simple framework that unpacks how you actually create that demand, how you actually create inbound leads. And so the first step is called magic messaging. And it's not Magic Mike. I'm not about to get up on the table and start dancing all weird. What it is magic messaging. And this is identity level communication. You see, most coaches talk to the surface level problems. Inbound happens when your content speaks to the identity, to the actual inner narrative, to the inner conflict that your dream clients live with on a day-to-day basis. And I'm going to give you an example in a minute, but wrong button. But when they feel like you're describing their life better than they can, they're going to naturally come towards you. This is why when you have your messaging dialed in right, it's going to do 80% of the pre-selling because you are influencing, right? There's a book by Robert Cialdini. It's a famous book called Influence, right? But he actually wrote another book called Persuasion, right? And it's everything you do beforehand. And so a lot of this stuff comes down to you, not persuading people, but persuading them, right? I think that's the name of the book. And so how I unpack this for people when I work with clients, especially my one-to-one consulting clients, is the first thing that you want to do when it comes to really developing powerful messaging that's going to do the heavy lifting for you. And again, this is whether you're posting content or running ads or speaking at events. This is like the calories, if you will, that allow you to be able to create an amazing marketing plan that brings people in. And so the first thing is I typically want to come up with the character of the story, right? Not the niche, not the sub niche, but who is that dream client that you wish you had hundreds of? That's the character. What are their conflicts? Like, what are they really struggling with? And that kind of unpacks the struggle story. What's going on in their daily lives? Right? You really want to focus on unpacking this stuff. And then, you're going to see when we get into the content in just a second, it's going to allow your content to be much more powerful. The struggle story is like why they're stuck. in why things haven't worked. What have they tried that's not working? What are their limiting beliefs that are causing them to not get results? Because everything stems with a belief. And you're going to see in a minute, when you know how to shift those beliefs, it changes everything. This is what starts to get people to convert, because you're literally influencing them to see something different than they currently are seeing, right? So you really want to tap into just more than just like the traditional, like, I'm going to help you lose weight with my XYZ program or whatever. No, we want to go deeper than that. What are the symptoms? What are the frustrations? What are the complaints? What are the deeper pain points? What are the beliefs they have, right? And then next, you want to have a great villain that you can introduce. This is a storytelling principle where when you introduce a villain into the story, it makes your ideal client not feel like the dummy. They're not the ones like you're like, ha ha, stupid, hire me. No, no, no. We are the guides, as Donald Miller puts it in his book Story Brand. We're the guides. We want to be here to help them fight the villain. We want to take down the villain, right? Like in Star Wars, Yoda, I mean, Luke Skywalker had many mentors, but Yoda was one of them, right? Who showed Luke Skywalker how to use his mind, right, to defeat the Force. And so we want to be able to have a villain in place to help rally against, help fight against. And in the weight loss industry, it could be like restrictive diet trap, right? Or the uh, you know, the diet culture, right? It's the food industry. I don't know, right? In like the business marketing space, it could be like the commoditized content, right? Or it could be like the big gurus. You just want to have something that you could fight against. And this is where you get to introduce your unique solution as like a tool, right? This is your maybe signature framework or your unique mechanism that you're just basically like, here, this is the tool that we're going to use to be able to fight the villain and solve your problem, right? I'm going to show you to solve your pain, your symptoms, your pain, your problem with this tool. And that becomes your mechanism. This is what helps you stand out, right? This is what helps start to create demand. And then you have the transformation journey. This is where when you can articulate the short-term transformation somebody wants and that they're going to get with your solution, the long-term transformation that they're going to get and that they want, and the ultimate, as Alex Hormozy says, the dream outcome that they actually want. And then even deeper than this, when you can communicate that aspirational identity, it's going to pull them towards it. Like, people want more, right? And so for, like, say, coaches, what do we want to be? We want to be sought after. We want to be in demand. We don't want to chase clients. We want to have a wait list. We want to feel fulfilled and that we're succeeding. And so, like, in a lot of my messaging and marketing, I'm going to always call out like how to become sought after, how to become in demand, because this is what's important to us. And so what is that for your ideal client? And these are just some other things that I have in here as well, right? But then on the other side, right, we have like deeper, subconscious triggers. Like, what are the secret fears that keep them from taking action? What are the false problems they have? And what's really holding them back? Right? What's those guilt and shame loops that they have? Right? What are the resentments that they carry towards, maybe their family or whatever? What are limiting beliefs they have? What are judgments they're secretly afraid others are making? Right? What are the problems that wake them up at 2 a.m.? These are all very vital and important things that we get down in our messaging. And then when we start to unpack that, well, just to like hang on here for a second, I want to illustrate the importance of this. So I have a couple kind of one-to-one consulting clients that I've been working with on this. And just one of my clients, they already had a go high level pipeline. Many of my clients do, but they have a go high level pipeline full of hundreds of thousands of leads. And just by like tightening up the messaging, like just like dialing it in, making sure we're saying the right words in the right way to the right people, they were able to get over $101,000 in cash out of their existing pipeline. And then I had another client, a bit more of like a newer coach in kind of like the health space, did this, and they have an Instagram audience. And then I think that she had a Facebook group as well. And just by being able to tighten this up, she was able to pull 197 inbound leads. 197 inbound leads. Insane, right? So it's like what you could do when you unpack this with your existing audience or even newer audience is just incredible. And so, but with that being said, next thing here is what I call a strategic content ecosystem. So your content shouldn't be random. Each pillar plays a big role. So you have things like credibility, connection, belief shifting, objection handling, and you can outline these in different types of content. So there's really four that you got to master. The first is connection. This is content that's going to attract people to you, the right people towards you. These are things like you sharing your personal story, maybe talking about your lifestyle, right? Beliefs that you hold or values that you have, because like attracts like. People like them. Maybe even sharing a bit more of your personality online, right? Not trying to hide behind a mask. The more you can, tell stories and show who you are, talk about your actual beliefs and show up as the authentic version of yourself, you're going to attract more people that are like you. And then, of course, influence. You see, many people think conversion content is what converts, and it actually doesn't. And you're going to see this in a second, but influence content actually converts. This is where you're going to share content that literally shifts beliefs. This is why I always unpack somebody's messaging first, because when you can actually know what your ideal clients' like old beliefs are, and you know the new belief you want them to believe, it's going to make your content so much more powerful. Take, for example, back when I was in the weight loss space, I made hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars off of this one line. Most of my ideal clients said, Jason, I've been trying to eat healthy, I'm dieting, I'm doing all of these things, but I'm still not losing my stubborn belly fat, which was the problem I helped them solve. Here's what I did. I flipped it around. I was like, you know what? It's because you need to not eat healthy. You need to eat right. And they were like, what does that mean? And I was able to tell stories. I was able to really shift their perspective. And this led so many more people into my world. And I was able to actually educate them around that because I shifted their beliefs, right? You can bust myths. You can handle objections. You can show them a new way. When you have this stuff in your content on a regular basis, it does so much of the pre-selling for you. It almost acts as a salesperson, but in your marketing. And then there is authority. This is where a lot of coaches and experts kind of hang out in their content, is they're over teaching or oversharing. And the older way of doing authority was maybe just like sharing a testimonial or teaching like a tip or a trick or a tactic. Like, it's commoditized, my friend. Information is so commoditized. Like, I think Google, or maybe it was Meta, one of them did a study that showed there's like over like 1.2 billion posts being published a day. It's insane. Like because with AI, it's like people can create. That stuff's commoditized. We want to teach your unique frameworks that only you can teach. We want to share insights and epiphanies that only you can share. We want to demonstrate expertise, right? Not just talk about it, but demonstrate it. We want to share, actual proof. We got to still do that. And then, of course, there's conversion content. This is where you want to be able to create demand, right? So great conversion content could be maybe you having a great call to action towards a program, or or a workshop or a masterclass or a webinar, something that's going to drive people forward, that's going to get them to raise their hand. But if you ever try to do these call to actions and you're not getting tons and tons of leads, or at least the right quality, it's because you're missing something either in the connection, the influence, or the authority piece, and you're not hitting those triggers, which you got to. In fact, your goal should be able to hit all four psychological triggers, which incite trust, resonance, clarity, and desire. And that way, when you do conversion type content, again, this is why I said influence is the secret one. That's the one that actually converts. Conversion actually just creates the demand, and it makes the conversion much easier on the back end. So this is the ecosystem, and we're gonna unpack how to actually apply this, but that quietly in the background works for you. So when somebody reaches out, they're already 70 to 80% sold on what you got. And the way I unpack this is, or at least I do this personally, is through what I call a content triangle. A content triangle is where you have Facebook or Instagram, or some type of top of funnel, right? You have a middle of funnel relationship builder like email list, right? That's the second part of the triangle. and you have like YouTube or a podcast as the third part. Now, typically, if you're under 5 clients per month, like you're just getting started, just stick to like a top of funnel thing like Facebook or Instagram. And then, you want to use this to be able to build your email list and repurpose your best content to your email list. Once you're over 5 clients per month and you've already got this stuff kind of dialed in, then adding a YouTube funnel or podcast funnel to continue to build your list is going to help tremendously. And the reason this works so freaking well is I like to kind of like look at it like the Bermuda Triangle. Like the Bermuda Triangle has like 3 points: Florida, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda. And like legends say there's some type of invisible force that's like literally pulling stuff in. Well, when you have your content outline like this, it works great for that exact same purpose, right? Just like Google has said, the 7-11-4. This allows you to be able to have 7 hours of content being consumed. This definitely helps you hit that 11 different touch points, and it for sure gets you that 4 different mediums. You have your top of funnel. You can have Facebook and Instagram. They can both be, that's 2 mediums. Email list is 3 mediums. YouTube or podcast is 4 mediums. If you get, phone numbers, that's 5 mediums, right? You have so many different ways to be able to put content in front of people. But the goal is to consistently build that email list. And so the way we build that email list consistently is through what I call conversion content campaigns. So a conversion content campaign are typically short sequences of content, like usually 3, 5, maybe 7 or 10 days, that when done right, it's going to help you create demand for your content. It's going to build connection, authority, and it's going to lead your audience into your DMs. And so the way it typically looks is you would have, say, and I'll typically do these once a month, but say you want to host like a masterclass or a workshop or a webinar or something like that, right? So what you would do is you would come up with a really good hook. This is the most important point. This is why step number 1 of the system, we always want to dial in the messaging. Because if your hook sucks, I don't care how good your freaking workshop or webinar or your program is, nobody's going to want that crap. But when your messaging's on point and you know how to come up with a really enticing and compelling hook, and there's many ways that we can do this. This is something that I'll help all my I'll literally write the copy for most of my one-to-one consulting clients on this, because it's the most important part. That like when you come up with a powerful hook, it's going to be able to stop the scroll, and that's going to get people interested. It's curious, gets them to pay attention. And then when you have a great call to action, kind of like on the other side. So if you think about the hook as the top of the bread, your call to action is the bottom of the bread. All of the content in between that's shifting beliefs, it's building connections, kind of like the meat, right? And this is what allows you to be able to build that email list, be able to get people to consume your long form content in, say, your workshop or your webinar or your masterclass or a VSL or whatever. And this allows you to be able to drive more inbound leads on a consistent basis. Does that make sense? So this is all so incredibly powerful when you dial in. And then the third piece of this is what I call a micro VSL or an anchor asset. So this is like one piece of content that you can have that will do most of the heavy lifting. This is kind of like your silent secret salesperson that's working for you 24/7, even when you're not. And so the 2 ways that I've always done this is either through like a masterclass that I've done. Like I the one that I had for years back in my fitness business was I did a live masterclass around how to lose stubborn belly fat. And it basically went over, I sold a new belief to people. I introduced my unique solution. I demonstrated social proof, and I had a call to action to book a call with me. And then I had that living, I broke it up into 3 chunks, and it became like a little mini series people went through, and that converted like crazy for me. I've also done it to where I have like a 15, 20, 25-minute video where I'm basically doing the same thing, right? Great hook, shifting belief, a core belief, introducing my unique solution, demonstrating social proof, great call to action. And when you do this, you constantly want to like put it out there as a call to action in like short form content, long form videos, your stories, on a regular basis, 2-3 times a week, and you're constantly pointing people back to it. And it allows you to have something that's like truly an anchor asset for your business that basically becomes, as I said, a silent salesperson 24/7. This is a really big key of having an inbound marketing system. And then lastly, you want to have a conversion system in place, right? Inbound doesn't mean just passive. It just means you're intentional. And so you need to have a simple, very clean funnel or DM flow that allows people to go from interested to I'm in, right? Without having to pressure them, without having to chase them. This is how you turn attention into applications, and then how you turn applications into clients without ever feeling salesy. Now, this can slightly change depending on your exact model. Many of my clients that I've helped with this, either they're going into some type of sales call funnel, or they're selling via DMs, right? They have like a really well done offer document or sales page that has a really good copywriting done on it. That's the only way you can make that work, is by having the copywriting do a lot of the selling. Or they'll host like a masterclass or a workshop, and they'll give a bunch of value, and then they'll basically invite people to book a call or to just enroll directly in the programs. So there's a few ways to do it depending on your exact model. But if you do want me to send you the exact framework I use to create inbound demand, like all of this stuff, you want me to send it to you in a fully fledged doc, so you kind of have the visuals and you have some of the tools and even some scripts that I've used, just DM me the word flow on Instagram or Facebook, and I'll go ahead and send it over for you. To you, sorry. So yeah, I'm happy to send you over all of this stuff. I'll try to even link it in the description section below if I remember, so that way you can just kind of click and have it. And so anyways, if I had to summarize this whole video into like friggin' one sentence, what I'd say is inbound leads happen when your messaging, your content, and your conversion system work together to pre-sell people before they ever reach out. When you could do this effectively, and again, it's not rocket science. Like anybody can do this. Like it just takes intention. It takes you just making sure that your marketing becomes the strong suit and your sales now become easier. So when you put in a little bit of time just to learn the skills of how to actually communicate your message in a way that influences people, that speaks to the narrative, the subconscious triggers that are already happening in their head. It's not that complicated. And then you build a good system behind it, like I've outlined today. This is what allows you to be able to attract more inbound leads and get rid of the inconsistency, get rid of all of the hoping and praying it works, and God forbid, gets rid of you to chase people all of the time. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, let me know. Make sure to click subscribe if you found this helpful, and drop a comment. Let me know what your biggest takeaway was. And I hope you have an amazing day. Get out there, change some lives, make some money, and let's make this world a better place.